Hey Tekla here, how it's going? You know that Tekla modeling object representation filters are one of my favorite ones to fight against Tekla modeling errors. I have put together a package of different representation filters that I'm giving freely away. They include 32 plus 3 different filters, and in this video I will show how they work. Maybe you can use these filters or just get some ideas to create new ones or modify mine. So come and see what I have for you. This is the Tekla model or project that I will use today for demonstrating my object representation filters that I have done for you. I have to mention that in this moment, this project at this stage, it's not finished yet, and it's even better for demoing and finding from ongoing project different kind of like mistakes or what grabs our attention, what is maybe we have missed or what we can improve. So let's jump in, open object representation filters, and we have here the first is design plan. This company didn't use design planning with this project, but I added myself something here. So basically we can open the user-defined attributes, and then under the workflow tab we have design, fabrication and direction. There are planning dates and then actual dates, and in this example, or in this case, we are looking the assembly level, design dates, what we have planned. So we can see that the planned date for these elements, they should be finished because their planned date is in past, and they should be finished. If not, then we are in big trouble. Then we should, our engineers should be designing this first floor. And we can see also here that with red color, they don't have any planning date. So if we want to include them in our planning stage, that yes, then we should add to these red elements on assembly level the dates also when they should be started and finished. The next is statuses. For statuses, again, this is I have added my own user-defined attributes. These attribute settings I will give with the package, and here are the different elements. And let's see how are these representation filters of the elements. Again, user-defined attributes and TS guide, our own representation. So this, for example, the piles here should be issued. They have marked issued, and we can see, yes, they are the design status from user-defined attributes have been set issued. So they are ready and given out already. And we can see that these underground elements drawings are even checked, but we haven't given out, and then drawings are ready but needs still checking just in case from the senior engineer. These elements, or at least some other pair of eyes should check these elements, and then we can issue them also. But yes, good to get overview, and we can use whatever kind of user-defined attributes for this kind of like checkings. And yes, it can be also for fabrication, installation, transportation, whatever. The next one that we want to check is element height, and these size limitations come especially with transportation limitations, and that's why it's only assembly level and only elements that are cast in place. For example, these we want to exclude, that it's not important. And here the heights, for example, we can see that okay, this ramp height is a little bit too long, but most probably, yes, what are the limits? We want to avoid height over 4.2 meters, and this element is longer. but yes, here we can see another mistake, or like that should be maybe differently. It's set as precast element, but most probably it should be cast in place element. So at least we got our attention. These are the roof that will be made or assembled also on the construction site, so we can not turn attention for them. And inside, what we have here, yes, all looks good. So the next is length, about elements length, and here our limitations are that we can't go over 17.5 meters, and already over 15 meters length of elements need some special truck, and we want to see them also, notice them, to order these special trucks. And of course you can change these numbers according to your trucks and local standards. Yeah, let's say what's available there. But here we can see that these long elements, we could transport them, but we should order longer truck. But no worries. There are these elements, or these walls are made of block elements, so they are assembled also on the construction site, and we don't even need these longer trucks with these walls. So everything looks good with this check. Element weights. We have here also some limitations. We don't want over 12 ton elements. Again, transportation issues, and then more than 10 tons, we need some special trucks. So let's see what situation we have with weight. And again, we have here this ramp and this wall. Most probably this should be also, yes, cast in place, not precast. And this wall here, if we want to transport as a precast element, then maybe we should split it, or at least do something, or make it cast in place, but otherwise looks good. The next is which kind of elements have been locked. So we remember that these piles, let's say, were issued, and then the elements that we have issued already are like ready in the construction site. Then we want to lock them and don't modify anymore. So in this case we use this locking tool management, and yes, we can see that these elements are locked. We can't modify, and we shouldn't modify these anymore, but everything else is free as a bird. The next is organizer floors. So let's see how organizer has divided the floors. Let's take out the cast in place elements, and we can see that yes, underground is nicely underground element, like with one color, yellow. We can see underground, and then the next, these are the floors. Here normally it should be okay, but maybe there can be case when there is some column that goes through 2 floors, for example. And then if the column, like gravitation center, is on the 2nd floor, then automatically organizer places as a 2nd floor element. But we want to assemble or install or erect, how to say, with 1st floor elements. And in this case, we then want to move manually to 1st floor elements. But here we can, like, quick check shows that looks like organizer has done good job. The one thing here to remember that this how we should name the floors. It used the names, so use these names or change these settings according to your naming rules with organizer. And we have here 9 floors set, or like pre-made for 9 floors, but you can add new rules, of course. The next is bolt sizes. Let's turn also in the casting place again. In this project stage they didn't have any bolts yet, but I added 2 for demonstrating. Here they are, and then we can see quickly what is the bolt sizes. So we can see that this one bolt is M20 and another bolt is M16. Let's check just in case. Am I correct? Are the colors not lying? Yes, M16 and M20. So everything is correct. The next is bolt workshop or site. And this is something that we want to check also if someone is like simple mistake, you just forget to change the workshop or site like bolt type, but it can cause a really nice mess later. But in this case, yes, we can see with the colors that what is site bolt and what has to be attached on workshop. The next one is if you are using licenses that are doing conceptual components, then this is super important and useful, because once you're doing using this license and you're using any components, then all the components that you're doing are conceptual components, and the elements that have been done with conceptual components, you can't do the numbering or shop drawings of them. And before doing any numbering, you need to convert to detailing components. But if you don't know which elements are done or which elements you should convert, and you can't see, you don't know, then especially, for example, this example, we want to do the drawings of these columns, but we can't see, like, okay, why Tekla is not doing the numbering. Then using this color representation, we can see quite quickly notice that, okay, we need to this reinforcement component has been done with the conceptual components, and we have to convert before. It can be also with connections, and let's say that here is between two walls, there is connection done with the conceptual component, and then we want to do the wall drawing or numbering, and we can't do it. So easy way to find what we need to convert. Of course, you can do it manually, but for you, we have done also one tool that does automatically all the selected elements or components, or all the components in model. It goes through and does this basically the same trick, selects the element and then, or component, sorry, and then converts them. The next is IFC profiles. To checking in this model, we don't have, unfortunately, IFC with the different profiles, but it's just for you to get some ideas. So we can use, we can check also the IFCs that are coming in. And in this case, we are checking that, okay, external, it means IFC, profile name has to be HEA 120. So we can check IFC different kind of like attributes. And to know what kind of attributes you can color or check, it's not only about the profiles, just inquired information, and you can see which kind of information this IFC element or object has. The next is object faces. Many companies are using faces, and this company also. And we can see that, okay, they have used one building is one face, another building is another face, and then underground elements, they have some own or some another facing system. It's not too clear. Okay, it's footings is one face, but not 100% clear what kind of system they have used, but at least we can get overview. These colors probably mean for them more. And here interesting is that you can use this kind of representation filters that color by faces, so we don't have to put the number for every face number one line. It just colors by faces, and you can use your own attributes or other attributes, color by some attribute, and then you can choose which kind of attribute it takes for base of coloring. Not saving. The next is about embeds, and which embeds are not attached as a sub-assembly to any object. For example, in this case, I added one fastening plate, and we can see that this fastening plate is not part of any cast unit or assembly, so it's not as a sub-assembly anywhere. So, but maybe in this case, it should be part of this stair. About embeds is that if you are adding them to project, then we need to add them as a subassembly manually. They are not many times going automatically, and detailers can forget it. So we can have to see, this kind of checking is very good. Here we have also 2 blades, and they grab nicely attention, and we can see that they are under this stair, so they are for installation, let's say, and they shouldn't be part of any cast unit, because there are separate plates that will be placed on the construction site, and then in this case it's okay, but at least we got our attention there. The next one is sub-assembly levels, to check these ones. And this is something also that sometimes it can be like mistake of not knowing, or doing it a little bit just by mistake. But here we can see the sub-assembly levels, and for example these embeds here. If you know the difference about adding as a part and putting parts together, attach as a part, or attaching as sub-assembly, then most probably you understand that they shouldn't be as sub-assemblies. They should be attached as a parts only, but maybe in this case it's not a problem, but the problem can come with these beams that has been attached as a sub-assemblies, and then the problems come on reports and drawings mostly. So they are sub-assemblies, but they should be most probably attached just as a parts. But yes, at least we can decide then how we want to do. The next one is to see the objects that are not numbered yet. So sometimes we have planned that we want to number these things later and do the shop drawings later, but sometimes at least we get overview. And here we can see also these are the holocores that were conceptual components, and we couldn't number them neither, so we need to convert them. But I think this one should be a good number maybe. But nice overview. Unfortunately, I don't know yet how to show also objects that numbering has been changed. It needs renumbering, rechecking. If anybody knows, then please let me know also. But at least with this checking we can see what is unnumbered. That means that we have this number is 0 and question mark. The next one is concrete materials, to see different gradings of concrete materials and checking of them. Yes, you can get quite good quick overview of these with the colors, what the gradings we have used, but something to notice here are the red colors again. These have the material undefined, and maybe we maybe want, but maybe don't want to define these materials. So let's see these stairs, for example. Yes, concrete undefined, so maybe we want to set some concrete class there also. At least we know. The next is fire resistance, and they haven't set any fire resistant class to any steel parts, but for testing I set here. And then it is, as you can see, it's part level. Different parts in one assembly can have different fire resistance. And here I used the, again, TS guide, our own user-defined attribute, where I set the fire resistant level, or minutes, how many minutes they have to survive, let's say so. And here we can see with these colors. These UDIs have been included with this package that I'm sharing with you. The next is checking holocore heights. You can add here Yes. You can add here your, I don't know how are your modeling rules. You can add here one line more that will filter out only hollow cores, but in this case I will use view filtering rule to show only hollow cores, because it's the heights are typical hollow core heights, at least in Estonia, and we can see that okay, the heights in both sides are the 220 millimeters, and in the middle the hollow cores, the span is probably a little bit longer, or the force are bigger, is 265. Maybe it's correct, maybe not, but at least we can see. I hope it's correct. Let's show everything again. And the next check that we have is part materials. Okay, this is, we can see different elements or parts and what kind of elements they are. For example, these walls, as I mentioned before, I think they are not precast walls, but they are block, let's say, made of blocks, and here are the brick walls, and here we can see that these hollow cores are nicely precast, and these are cast in place. No, precast. Let's see, cast in place is dark, so this is cast in place, yes. Most of these, something for you to know, that most of these are by the rules are made by the assembly type, but there is no assembly type for insulation, bricks and blocks. So here I have used my modeling rules classes, but change them to your classes, what you use for insulation, and then they will be correct also. The same is with the bricks and blocks if you're using. So the next lucky one is steel materials. Here are the materials, steel classes or grades that we use the most in Estonia. And of course you can add your own, or what you are using in your country. Here, but it's important again that we would notice that, okay, one thing is to check these classes that we have set, but to find out the classes that material is unknown still, these ones we definitely want to check out. For example, I know these are embeds, this is okay, but maybe these classes here should be set. Let's see what is still undefined, yes, and then maybe we maybe don't want to set. I don't know. Steel material, steel plate thicknesses. Again, another one. There are many thicknesses that I have brought out, different thicknesses that are most used, and we can see with colors. Here I would like to say that if you know that you are not using, for example, this 2 millimeter thickness in your case, never, or basically never, then I recommend to delete these lines. So right now we have there are limited colors that we can use, and then here we can see that these colors are matching different plate thicknesses, have the same color or similar color. So try to have as few elements here as possible, and then give them different as contrast colors as possible. But by default right now we have like this. The next is part width. So here we can see there are different, these are typical wall thicknesses, and for checking these I will use view filter and show only walls. And here you can see now that these are 200 millimeter walls, most probably. We know that these are the blocks, and yes, 190, it's up to, so it's 180 until 200 it's this brown, and so 190 goes under this rule, so we can see. But yes, different wall thicknesses can see easily. The next is pour numbers. In this case, let's put everything again visible, and to check pours we have to turn on the pour view. In this project they didn't use pour numbers, numbering the different pours. Probably they didn't use the pour views, this dividing to the pours and doing the pour drawings anyway, so that's why they are all red, and red is all pour objects, and it I think it was this one. Let's select some pour. Yes, see, pour numbers are missing, so we can see that all pours are red. But if we put some number, then yes, we can see that these pour numbers it will be with different colors, and we could check quite quickly. Let's check back, or turn back. And the next, these three are for Estonians especially useful, and they're connected with our governmental requirements when we give out the IFC files. Everybody else, they are not useful, and you can delete these RKAS settings, but I just show it to give some ideas. Maybe you have something similar case you may have, and you want to do something similar. So the first checking is about the environmental class, and we show all the classes. We should give all the elements environmental class marking, but you can see that I haven't set any of these markings, and then this is something that our colors bring out also. So if you know that every element has to have some user-defined attribute, then we can use this kind of rules to bring out these elements that don't have this user-defined attribute set. The next is comments. This is something that I think many of you could use to see what kind of comments or which element have attached any kind of comments, and maybe we should know about them, especially if there are more than one person who is working with this model. Then we want to know what kind of comments there are attached to here, and we can see that yes, this stair is very interesting, very useful information. And something here also for the rebars. Yes, something, but let's not jump in. Keep in mind that these comments we can show also on drawings and reports, so comments are useful. The next is material. We used here, let's say, translation. And I used really quickly organizer. Organizer had this. They know this means steel. Organizer know what is steel element, and we have to give this Estonian translation name teras. We have to give all these organizer steel elements, and then I did this. You can use this kind of organizer group rules to attach. Now let organizer attach this information group names to all the elements, and we can check here that all the correct elements have correct namings. And here again we can see that okay, something is red, something didn't work, some rule for some reason, and yes, we didn't have a rule for this name and this class. So in this case, let's set this manually, but at least we can see what elements have this user-defined attribute and what don't have. The next come back to that's interesting for everybody, or at least who are doing concrete, rebar diameters. And here we can see that okay, here are the different sizes of diameters of rebar, and quite nicely we can see these rebars are blue, probably 8 millimeters. Yes, 8 millimeters, and these are 12 millimeters. So quick checking of rebar diameters. You can filter out the main bars or additional bars. But yes, useful. Rebar function. In this case, again, I personally use in my recommended modeling rules. I have for each rebar function, I have different rebar class. And if you follow or you have your own style, own classes, then we can use these class attributes to show different kind of like rebars. It's useful to see precast element perimeter rebars, what are additional rebars, connecting rebars. We could see if there is no green rebars, then maybe we can see that there are not any connecting rebars, and there should be all these lifting bars. But yes, in this model, unfortunately, I can't demonstrate it. Rebar length is something again that in Estonia at least we want that rebar standard length or maximum length is 12 meters, and all that goes over is we should split them. So let's see which rebars are. Okay, everything here is correct. Okay, but these rebars, let's see, they are red. So inquire, and we can see that yes, the length is more than 16 meters, so we most probably should split them, because we can't produce these long rebars here. Again, you can change these numbers as it's in your country. Rebar length, rebar materials. Here are some couple of examples what kind of rebar grades we are using more in Estonia. And we can see that everything is correct except some rebars here that we want to find rebars that have undefined rebar class, like grade. Yes, these rebars are undefined, and most probably we would like to add something or change it. The next one is rebar spacing. Here we can see that, for example, here is most probably 200 is the spacing because it's yellow. Let's see. Yes, 200 because it has to be in this range. I have to mention that it's a little bit more complicated or not so clear when they are changing this spacing. Let's find some place, for example. Okay, here if there are different groups, then we can see that in the lower area the spacing, or I have to say that it is target spacing. It is 150, yes, and in the middle there is 300, most probably, yes, 300. But maybe here it's changing, no? Here it's changing, see, let's take this out, show only selected, and in this case dark blue, it looks like big spacing, but as you can see it's changing, so the colors here, it takes the largest spacing that is, so but something to keep in mind. The next is unknown shapes. We want to find the unknown rebar shapes. They had previously all the shapes ready here, or nicely with some shapes that are in their shape catalog, but then I added these cute rebars here that has shape that is unknown, and these unknown shapes, maybe we want to define these shapes in catalog, or not to use this kind of cool shape of rebars. The next is references. Yes, something that is useful for everybody who are using reference drawings is, I give you example, here they are. Okay, let's turn on this reference drawing on top view, and we can see that, okay, there are references, but they are white, and in some background it's difficult to see, and it can be complicated or very difficult to snap, and if you can't see them, not so good. But for this reason, I always recommend to use reference color red, or you can do blue or whatever, or black, but it has to stand out. So as you can see now, it's much more clear, and you can see much better than it was before. So this is the help of reference color red, and yes, nothing complicated here. The next one is welds, two last ones about the welds. Again, in this model they didn't have before, didn't have modeled any welds, but I helped them, let's say so, and I modeled two welds, and we can see weld size above, but we could do also one similar of below, but in many cases I think above is good enough. So we can see that this weld is 6 millimeters and this weld is 5 millimeters. Easy as that. Checking. And the last one is welds that have been done like in workshop, or should be done at workshop, and the welds that are should be done on construction site. The same thing that was with bolts. Very easy to forget to change this type, weld type, but big difference. So this was my more than 30 different object representation filter sets. You can take them. As you can see on the naming, I have used this hashtag in front to get my settings in top, and other settings that come from environment, Tekla environment, are on bottom, so more important in top. And then this prefix gives out that these are modeling representation filters. So otherwise we have different kind of many different attributes in our model attributes folder. It can be thousands of files, but this kind of like prefix up to 3-4 letters give out which kind of prefix they are, and things that you don't use, feel free to delete them. For example, these RKAS things that are for Estonians only, or if you're doing only steel, then you don't need probably these rebar things or concrete things.
How did you like the object representation filter package? If you liked it, then go ahead. The link to this package is in YouTube description, or go directly to the homepage, webpage, tsguide.eu, and under blog articles you will find it for sure. Use these filters as ever you like. You can take out the ones that are more useful for you, and the ones that you will use, modify according to your needs and standards. I hope at least you got some ideas how to do it and minimize your project mistakes. We have also one extra tool in our webpage, model checker, that will find more. I think there were more than 10 different kind of modeling mistakes, especially that rookie engineering are doing, or anyone, let's say anyone, can forget or do these mistakes. Go ahead, check this tool out also. I think it can save you huge amount of modeling errors. If you like this content and you would like to get more notifications and more this kind of content, information with PDF packages, Tekla files, setups, templates, then go ahead, follow us in social media. In LinkedIn, find my personal contact or personal name, Sten Tuudak. In YouTube and Facebook, find TS Guide. Meanwhile, take care and take care of your models.